If you decided to go for the cloud setup, so work with BigQuery, work with Looker Studio, which is a native Google Cloud application for simple dashboards, and DBT Cloud, in this video I'm gonna walk you through the setup. So every single thing that I say during this video is also gonna be available in a guide in the setup directory of the Git repo. But this video is just for people that want to see how it looks from a screen and for me to walk them along the process. Now, I'm not gonna walk you through much to how to work with DBT. Here, we're just gonna get enough to start this process. And I also assume that you already did chapter 3, so that you already have all of the data from the New York Taxi dataset already ingested into BigQuery. If you don't, please check the previous lessons. There are more links and more everything in the guide, the written guide. But if you're up to date and everything is working, the first thing that I need you to do is to check that the BigQuery API has been enabled. So just type BigQuery API here on the search bar and make sure that this is either enable or enable it at this moment. The next thing that we're gonna need to do is to create a service account. So create an account that is not for a specific person, but it's an account for DBT to do its work. Now, it's generally a good idea to create an account specifically for the tools that you work with, instead of like letting accounts impersonate you with your own credentials, just because it's better for production. So to do that, you're just simply gonna go to I am an admin. And in here, you're gonna look for service accounts. So once again, service accounts are not directly meant for humans, but rather for applications. And even though I already have it right here, I'm gonna create a new one. And here, you need to give it a name. So I'm gonna go for, I don't know, it could be DBT BigQuery service account. Just make it descriptive, but it's fully up to you how you call it. I think DBT BigQuery should be enough. And now, once you have created this account, you need to give it some permissions. So for this one, the lazy thing that is, it's okay for learning purposes, would be to give it BigQuery admin. But generally speaking, this approach feels a bit wrong. The best practice for deployment is always to keep the account as restrictive as possible to still do the job. The reason for that is, if the service account were to get leaked, you really don't want people like fooling around with this BigQuery admin, deleting your tables, in your tables. So better to keep it very, very focalized. Once again, BigQuery admin is fine for learning, but I recommend you to do it well. And to actually keep it to the 3 roles that you need. The first one is BigQuery data editor. The second one is gonna be the job user. BigQuery job user. And finally, you're also gonna need the simple BigQuery user. Now, depending on your organization, you might want to play a little bit with these roles, scope them, but this is just fully fine for what we're trying to accomplish here. And you can continue doing some stuff, but we're gonna click on done. And now you should have a second service account. Now, to be able to access this account that we just created, this is the new one, not the one that I had right there, we're gonna want to create a key. And so a key is a file that contains all of the information that any type of application might need to access this account. So I'm gonna click here and create an account. I'm gonna go for JSON, the recommended format. Click on create. And this is gonna want to create a JSON file. I'm gonna save it right now in desktop. And I'm gonna open it, but please know that this information is supposed to be kept private. So it is fully fine if I show you the contents because, well, being honest, by the time that I post this video, these keys and this account is gonna be completely gone. But please don't show this to anybody. Keep this very private. Essentially, what it has here is just some information about the account, some information about the APIs, and most importantly here, a private key and a key ID. So once you have all of these things in place, then we're ready to go to DBT. Being honest with you, it would be a good idea for you to go directly to BigQuery and just be 200% sure that all of the data that we had in lesson number 3 is already there. In my case, I already did it. So you see here that I have these green trig data and yellow trig data. These are the ones that we're gonna be using for this course. Now, it is possible that if you follow the homework, this one might be the partitioned version, in which case I would recommend you to rename it. Now, I understand that it's called like green tree data underscore partitioned if you did the homework. The partitions are great. They're definitely going to help to reduce the costs, so I definitely recommend you to do it. But for compatibility reasons, I'm personally just going to drop the partition. And in the future videos, you're gonna see me talking about this green and yellow trig data, just simply that way. Now, once I know for sure that everything is fully fine, I can even see a preview. This looks correct. Now it's time for us to go to DBT. Now, you can simply go to getdbt.com. And in here under Try DBT, you can always create a free account. They do have the developer accounts that are always completely free. I already went ahead and created one. So just go fill this information. It's gonna be 100% free if you go for the developer one. They even allow you to test other types of accounts during a trial period if you prefer. But essentially, once you follow this process and validate your email, you're gonna get an account to a portal like this. Now, what you're seeing right here is, well, nowadays it's called DBT Platform, but until very recently, it was called DBT Cloud. So there is a chance that you may hear me talk about it as DBT Cloud, DBT Platform, but I guess from now the technical term should be that. This is once again completely empty. Nothing has happened here just yet. The first thing that we're gonna need to do is to create a new project. I'm gonna call it NY Taxi. Now there are some advanced settings, but I'm not gonna tamper with them. And it's asking me to create a connection. This connection refers to the database that I'm gonna be working with. In our case, it's gonna be BigQuery. So I create a new connection, it opens a new window. It's taking its time. It can be me. Oh, okay, perfect. Now you can select, these are the ones that are currently supported natively by DBT Platform. In this case, it's just nice because we want BigQuery. I'm gonna keep the BigQuery name. I'm gonna also leave it in the new adapter. Don't work with the legacy one. And here it's gonna ask us to upload our JSON file. So you could potentially type all of these fields manually. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. But we could also just simply upload it and it's gonna do it for us automatically. Everything looks okay, so I'm gonna click on save. And I have here my connection. Now, I still want to do a couple of things. For example, it is a good idea to create a Git integration. If you're working with GitHub, if you're working with GitLab, Azure DevOps, it's nice to connect your account directly to DBT. I personally would do it, even though you don't have to. If you don't want to link it, that's fine. The DBT also has a managed Git repo. So that should be okay. And then the very last thing that I need to do is to create some target information. So I'm gonna go here to Studio, which is the place where you do most of the coding. It is not gonna allow me to go to Studios, and this goes for everything. If there is something you haven't done yet, going to Studio is gonna prompt you to, hey, please, there is something that you need to do. In my case, I didn't create environments, but we can do it right now. Now, I believe the bare minimum that you need is one dev environment to be able to work, but it's always nice to create both a dev and a pro environment. So I'm gonna say I'm talking about the BigQuery connection. The method that I'm using for authenticating is the JSON that I just created, and I need to give these a unique name. Now I can go with simply DBT, or if you're working in a larger team, give it a name that will distinguish that this is created by DBT and by a certain user. In this case is me. The reason for that is it's kind of nice how you can create multiple versions of your data. The ones that are under my data set, so remember that in BigQuery you work with data sets. This one would create a completely new one called dbt underscore jparafam, just so that other people can also work with the data, modify it without stepping in each other's toes. Now, number of threads, I'm just gonna leave it empty. The target, I'm just gonna call it default, even though it makes sense to later create a proper prod and a proper dev environment. I'm gonna go and test connection, see if this works. Testing. Let's see, moment of truth. It's taking a bit longer than what I remembered, but ultimately it completed. Click on save. And now I have my DBT development environment. Next thing that we need to do is how exactly are you gonna manage your Git repository? And I generally almost always do it with GitHub, but in this case I'm gonna do manage. So I'm gonna say, hey DBT, please you do it. Please know that regardless of what you choose, it is possible to migrate between environments, even though sometimes it's not that frictionless. I'll definitely recommend you to integrate your GitHub, but just for now, to keep it simple, I'm gonna go with managed. Give my repository a name. Once again, I'm gonna go with taxis rides NY. The reason for that is this was the name that this project used to have even before I started teaching. So in case you're following this course for a second time, it's nice to not have any compatibility issues if you want to continue where you started or if you see something in somebody's notes. So, but in reality, this name doesn't matter too much. So I'm gonna click here on create. It's already taking for your account. That's because I already created this on a different take for this video. So I'm just gonna call it 2. Talking about compatibility issues. And it says here that my project is ready. Now I can simply just go to Studio. See, it might take a second or two, but it looks like, yes, it looks like it's working. Next step is I need to initialize my DBT project. Now this action might take a second or two, but it's gonna create the whole structure. Oh, it was quite fast. The whole structure of my project. So here's the analysis, the macros, the models, the seeds directory, test, and so on, DBT project. There are even some example models right here that are created. I'm not gonna tell you in this video how to work with this, but just know that this is the structure of a basic DBT project. And if you see this, you're heading the right track. Now this is a Git repository. DBT doesn't have, well, DBT platform doesn't have a way for you to interact this. If you really want to see all of this from VS Code and have a lot more control over Git, I recommend you to set up the CLI and to use the VS Code extension. But for now, we're just gonna use their Git tool. So create a new branch. I'm gonna commit this one's, call it initial commit. It might take a second or two. And now it's gonna force me to create a new branch, which is gonna be, I'm gonna give it my name. Unable to complete this action. Okay. Okay, it looks like it already created my branch. Perfect. And from here, we're able to continue working with DBT. Nothing too crazy. And this is it. If you reach this point where you have your own branch, where you see all of these files, then I guess you're ready to go and start with this course. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And also remember that there is a cloud setup file in the Git repository for the Zoomcamp where you can follow all of this information. But I hope seeing it from my screen really helped you clarify some doubts.